Hello and welcome to Swift Package Manager video. My name's David Thorne. In this video I'm going to show you how to create a Swift package basically from scratch. We're not going to use Xcode to create it. The only thing we are going to edit the file in is Xcode text editor, but that isn't going to, it's just going to be editing that Swift file. That's it. So with that said, rather than explaining, let's just do this right away. I think it's fundamental to understand how Swift or how Xcode actually reads the files and which problems you're going to face. So we need to create a file first of all, and we're just going to say touch package.swift, all right? And let's just show you first of all which problems we're going to get into. Is when we say open package.swift. Right now we just jump into the normal text editor of Xcode, which is fine, but if we just start adding some information here and say Swift Tools version, this is the version of Swift that we're going to be using. And one thing to not forget is that we need to import package description. Otherwise all the framework isn't going to be there to be able to for Xcode to work this one out. All right. And next we're going to have to create a package object. And this is essentially what Xcode is looking for, is this package constant here, right? And in here we're going to give this one project a name. I'm just going to call it basic package. And we're going to get Xcode running as simple as possible, or as, with the minimal amount of information that we need to give it, all right? And what we need to give here is targets. And we're going to create an executable target. This is the one that allows us to execute a terminal application, etc., etc. And so this one is going to be called then, this target is going to be called CLI, and the path of this is going to be sources, and we're going to create this directory in a minute, and then going to be CLI. And this basically is the only information that we have to add to this one file, this one file, yeah. But we still have some housekeeping to do. We need to create the folders first of all. So we have to have sources and then CLI, and then we're going to touch CLI main.swift. All right, and that's always the entry point to a terminal application or an executable application. So once we've done that, we can now basically open the package.swift as we did before. So let's just come back here and say open package.swift, and I hope everything should be working right now. It's taking a little bit longer, and it is. Happy days. All right, so we now have everything working fine, right? Let's just prove that we do have everything working fine. We'll just import foundation, and we'll print hello world from SPM, and when we run this we should get hello world from SPM. And one thing, here we go, one thing I want to go through now is some of the problems that you are going to face. All right, so let's close down Xcode. Let's just close down Xcode, and let's have a look at what we've got already. Let's now move the sources folder to be sources with an underscore in the beginning. Open package.swift once again, and we'll let Xcode open up, and you can see now that we don't get any schema up here because it's not finding the right code. All right, so it's looked in here somewhere and seen this isn't right. So maybe if we change this now, you can see that all these things have got to be there correctly, and it will disappear. All right, so if you don't see the schema up here when you're creating a target, then you know that you've done something wrong. So this path has got to represent the path, and it's got to exist as well. It's not going to create it for you. So let's just close this down once again. Let's just move them back to how they were, and we'll open the package.swift once again, just to show you that everything is working perfectly fine once again. So let's now take this Swift Tools away and see whether that actually does anything for you and negatively impacts the application. It doesn't, but you're going to have a problem obviously with the language now the Swift tools as well, all right? Because it's not going to be able to load the Swift programming language, and it doesn't recognize that either. So the next thing to note is that if we take away this one target 2 and we close this one down and we open package.swift up again, we're just going through all of the processes here, and we still get the main, but we don't get this schema once again because it doesn't have a target to use, and it needs a target for a schema to work. All right, so now that we've done that, and when we run this, we get it all back again. So the question is now is that can you have C and Swift at the same time in your project? And the answer is no, you can't. You either have a Swift target, or you have a C or C++ target, but you cannot mix the both here. All right, so let's just create a C file, and we'll call it main, and we'll say next, and inside of here we'll say int main, and then we'll return 0 here, and then say printf hello world as ever, and so on, and go from there. We're going to need to see whether this works, and it all does work fine. So, but if you're going to create a library, right, this is something now, is that the points to remember is targets are internal to the package, okay? And if you want to then export a package to Swift Package Manager and so on for other people to use, it's not the targets that you need to export. You need to export the products, okay? So whenever you look in the products, this is a place where you are exporting stuff. And so in here, all we've got to do is take the name of the target that we're inside of it, and for this example, we got a library or we've got an executable, all right? And in this sense, it's an executable that we're going to be using, and we're going to call it CLI. And here we're going to say then that the CLI as well, all right? And when we run this, everything works perfectly fine too. So what we want to have a look at now is inside of the directory, and I find this far better just to say Swift build from within inside of the directory you are, and we're just going to say C release, all right? Because it's all well and good doing it for development or debug, but it's always interesting to see how it happens for the release phase, and I don't think enough people show you that, all right? So we now have this build directory, so let's just go into the build directory and have a quick look. And this is the release one that we are interested in. And you can see here you've got this ARM, Apple, Mac OS, because it knows that this is the architecture that we are building from. So we can come into this ARM, Apple, Mac OS, because this is just a link to it as well. So when we come in here, you can see we've got then the release. And now you can see here, here's the executable. And if we come here and execute the executable, you'll see hello world. So if you need to export this one file to be as an executable on your application, this is the one that you want to place within inside of your user local and bin and so on. So that's the one that you would move into here if you wanted to be able to execute it at a system level. So now we've looked at that. If we want to create another target, for example, and this is then going to be just a normal target here, and we need a comma here as well, and this is then going to be my library, we're going to call it, right? And inside of this sources directory, we're going to call it my library here. And here now we create an include folder, and let's now create our my library C file. My library C file, we create the header file, and we'll pop the my library header file in that one folder as well. And in here we'll say void say hello from library here, and as normal we'll just come inside of our file and we'll import standard io.h. We'll create the file and make sure we say printf and hello world from my other library. Happy days. So now we have these two libraries, right? Let's come back to the Swift package manager. Well, now we have these two libraries. Well, we should still we can't now build it, right? Because we've not told it where the headers are. So we need to say system settings here, and we need to say header search path, and this is going to be then in sources, and then my library, and then includes, and we might need to that's why we need to say my library there, and everything comes back again, right? So when we run this, we should still be happy days, and we are, right? So now the executable target, we want to say dependencies, and this dependency is going to depend upon my library. Let's just make sure we're still working. Yes, we are. When we come now into main, we can now import, we can now include my library.h, see if we're still building. Yes, we are. And we're going to say hello from my library. And when we run this, you see here, let's just put the /n there just to be correct. And now you can see here we get hello work, hello work from my other library. So now the point is, if we want to be able to export a product for my library as a static library. All right, so let's now come here and say we want a library first of all, and we're going to call it my library 2. The type, we're going to say static, and the target is my library. All right, and let's come now to let's come back down here to the outer folder once again, where all of our files are in there. And here we're going to say Swift build C and release once again. And now when we come into the build directory and then the release, we should now see that we have a libmylibrary.a, all right, and also then the CLI. So now we've got the exported items that we need. And if we do nmg and then just do the lib, you'll see here we get say hello from my library. And I don't know what we're going to get with CLI here, but you can see here execute header main put say hello from my library and so on. So this is all the information that we get out of here. So now that you've seen that, you can, let's just change this to be a dynamic one now, just to show you the difference. And let's come out of here and run this once again. And now you can see linking lib, mylib, dlib here. So let's come into build and release once again. So rather than having a lib my library A, we've now got lib my library dy lib instead, because we're working on a Mac. We get these dy libs instead. So this should now be enough information for you to be able to start creating your own application. So let's, if we come into here as well, we can say Swift run, and you can see that we're applying a CLI. So we should, if we wanted to create another executable target, we could do that, and we could call it other CLI, and we're going to call it other CLI here. And we'll create, let's just do it, it's easier if we just say copy sources. We need to come back out again, and say copy sources CLI, and we'll say sources other CLI, and that there. And now we should have both these files with the other CLI. So let's say hello world from other CLI instead. And now we can come here and say Swift run and other CLI. And you can see here that we're getting hello world from other CLIs. So if we come back now and say run, we can't do that because we have two executable targets instead now. So we have to define one instead. So this is a super cool feature that you can have. And we've seen now how you can create your static libraries, your dynamic libraries amazingly quickly. And obviously using Swift Package Manager, you can come up here and say add new, and we can add my JSON placeholder one as well if you wanted to, right? But that's not part of this video. So I think I've managed to cover a ton of stuff in this one video. And if you're completely new to Swift Package Manager and you want to be able to write some basic C libraries and so on, then Xcode is definitely worthwhile doing. I would say that for basic normal system level stuff right now, then the Xcode is perfectly fine. However, when you start doing some more advanced things, which in all fairness, this is not my world. You know, my world is writing iOS applications, Mac OS applications, all very much Swift UI, UIKit related. So if we're talking about embedded systems and stuff like that, then I really, from my understanding, this is not the area that you really want to be going into with Xcode. You want to really start looking at the likes of the other IoT development frameworks that are out there to use. But that would be then another video. So with that said, why did I create this video? Well, I've started to do lots of work with the likes of ESP32s, which are little microcontrollers with the likes of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on it that you can be able to control other lights, sensors and things. I've created other applications for very large companies as well, where they use water dispensers and this, that and the other using IoT devices. And so I felt that I wanted to come and start creating my own home kit, my own home system, you know, using my own microcontrollers, my own things, and learn a little bit more about embedded systems, and especially Internet of Things, because it's going to just expand massively in the future. With that said, if you did get anything out of this video, if you did like this video, please like, subscribe, share, and I've got a whole bunch of other content as well that you might be interested in watching. And if I haven't yet created anything that possibly you might feel that could help you, but you think, I reckon he can do it, then let me know, and I'll definitely have a think about creating the content for you, because I just love programming. With that said, if you do have any questions, feedback or concerns, then feel free to start a conversation in the comment section down below. If I can answer it by myself, I will. If I think it's too technical, I'll get ChatGPT to answer it for you. So if you get a long-winded explanation, that's ChatGPT answering it in the comment section down below. Otherwise, I will create another video if I think the question is well worthy of answering it with a video. Thank you very much for watching. My name is David Thorne. See you in the next video. And I promise you, this was not the first attempt. I did a whole bunch of attempts on this to be able to go all the way through to the end. Now that I'm at the end, thank you very much. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, and goodbye.